Greetings, Space Engineers, and this is Commander Noodles, and welcome to Episode 3. It has been a while since I've been online. We had a system rebuild recently, and that caused all sorts of technical problems. I apologize. I'm so excited we finally got them fixed, and now we're back. As you can see, not only are we back, we are now in beta mode, so we got all these cool-looking new blocks, but I digress. Today, we are going to be looking at Episode 3, which is building a new flying ship. And that flying ship's a small flying ship, and for the specific purpose of mining. So, before we go too far into it, we are going to need to reclaim certain things on the landing ship we won't need. Remember, in Episode 1, we actually turned this into a station. So we're going to be reclaiming all the atmospheric thrusters, most of the beacon, glass as necessary, anything we don't need. That includes the LCD panels, the landing gear. Definitely get the air vent. At one point soon, we will be claiming most of the material from the reactor, and also the timer block here and the programmable block there, we'll grab that as well. Since we're not going to be flying in this ship in the near future at least, we'll also be getting the gyroscope. That'll give us the required resources that we need to be able to build this ship that once we've built, will be able to give us the required minerals and materials to build up whatever ship or station we want. A couple of simple quick things first. First of all, you'll notice that in the rebuild there's a couple of subtle changes, but the first thing I like to do is build a quick platform where I'm going to be building my ship from. So what I like to do is do a 4x4 grid. You can also do a 5x4 grid, so it's centered on the fifth one. For ease of the action, I'll actually do a 5x4 grid. And so we're going to come back up, and the other thing is, this type of machine, the flying machine we're building for mining, is a very specific type, and it's unusual in most of the way that most people in Space Engineers will build their mining ship. So we actually need an elevated working platform. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to be creating this elevated platform, and the reason for that is pretty simple. When we build the ship, most people build a mining ship with the drill bits facing forward. We're actually going to be building with the drill bits facing down. The reason for that is this ship is going to be structured in a type of approach that you see the drones, where you have 4 large thrusting engines, and then that provides the upwards thrust. And what will happen is there'll be small engines to provide the forward, backwards, left, right, and down thrust. But the upward thrust is the critical one. We'll have quite a few medium storage cargo containers ready for the mining, and so what we need to do is make sure we have enough thrust that when those cargo containers are full, we can still keep the aircraft in the air. It will be powered by a uranium reactor. Okay, my machine just hesitated. I apologize about that. So what we're going to do now is just identify a quick glitch that's currently in place with the new beta system. Hopefully they'll get it fixed. Until then, you're going to see this in just a second. So what we've got here is I set number 3. If you look down on my main bar there, number 3 is a landing gear. And if you go here and you point to the base station we just set up, the platform, we don't want the large landing gear. Hit 3 again, it goes down to the small. Here's the caveat. If you move the icon away, the cursor away, so it's now floating, and bring it back, it will reset to large. So you're going to have to line it up and then hit 3. Now the other thing is, if you look at this and work out where you want to put it and then hit 3, line it up just the way you want so it's pretty much parallel, and then hit B again and it will realign. So work it out, and you want it as close as you can to the edge as you can get, because the reason for that, and I'm going to show this to you in a second. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Come on, 3B, come on, there we go, is the drill. But I'll explain that to you in just a moment. So the next thing, and here is the caveat, here is the problem. The caveat means the restriction or the issue you have to be aware of with this current beta build. If I bump into this, you'll see when we build it, will hop around. Mag locks do not automatically turn on anymore. So once you get to this point, before you touch anything, back away a little bit, hit escape, and go exit to main menu and say save. Once you've done that, go continue game and load back in. Once you load back in, the mag locks will be working. So there's a couple of things that we'll be doing while it's loading up. I'm just going to explain. We're going to go back into the main ship right now. We're going to look at the resources that we have and make sure that in the oxygen generator you will see there will be two hydrogen bottles. Make sure they're on your man. I'll quickly show that to you in just a second. Also, what we're going to do is we're then going to go to the inventory area and we're going to move some of the steel plates over to the assembler mass. And once we've done that, we'll go to production and we're actually going to disassemble some of these steel plates because we're going to reassemble that in the function of interior plates. So we're going to basically take some of the steel plates and put them into assembler, disassemble them, and you'll get these iron ingots. Once that's been done, we're actually going to go to the production. So you go production, disassemble, and then we will make iron plates, interior plates, and that's what we need. So we go here and we're going to say, okay, build me some interior plates. There we go. Interior plates are really important at the early stage. The reason for that is actually pretty simple. What happens is when you start building the ship, it will need interior plates for the ejectors and also for the conveyor sorters, the small conveyor sorter blocks. And that is when we're mining, we're going to pick up a lot of stone. We don't want stone because that takes weight. Weight means more thrust needed, meaning more fuel. And we don't want to process it, which takes more energy. So what we're going to do is use those units, which take a lot of interior plate, to remove the stone while we're flying. I'm going to cut away, but before I do, I just want to let you know my next step, which I'm about to complete now, is I'm actually going to go ahead and we're going to reclaim these engines, the landing gear. We're going to reclaim down here. You'll see the ore detector and what I mentioned before with the beacon and stuff like that. We're going to reclaim all that as well. So I'll be back shortly. Let me just cut away real quick and get that done, and then I will see you in just a moment. Greetings, Space Engineers, and we're back, and we have done all the stuff we were talking about before. So if you have a look down here, just a small amount of steel plate is left in that ore detector. We go up, you can see that all the other modules are gone, and just a small amount of plate is left in the beacon. Should we want to put it back, then we'd have to worry about that. One thing I didn't get is, the LCD panels here real quick. That's given us some interior plates, so they're kind of handy to get. There's 3 of them, and I'll go down. What you will notice is I've increased the speed of the construction and demolition of equipment, so that way it would normally be slower in a regular mission, but what we've actually got is just to speed up the process, so that way it's not taking much of your time. We can get through this information pretty quickly. So what we should be looking at is at the end of it, in your cargo container, remember hit F to open it. Once you're all done, we should be seeing something like this. Now, if you remember, we also made in the little moment earlier some additional interior plates. So we have about 300, but if we need to, you can always drop some more steel plate into the mass, go in production, disassemble, and you can say, okay, disassemble. So we'll hold down the shift and do 100 plate, and then that's going to give you more steel if you need it. So we're going to go back to inventory, and we'll pull that out. We don't need to worry about that right now. So production, we're good there. Okay, good. So getting back to it, what we're going to do now is we just need enough of the minimum stuff to build up a medium cargo container, a cockpit, and a few other things. If you see here, we've got no glass right now. So what we need to do is we actually need to go in and need to take out 1 or 2 of the windows. You can see I cut a little hole there. Should have glass because I took these windows out. Let me go back. Bulletproof glass should be in there. Where are we looking? Bear with me for a second. Display, bulletproof glass. There we go. So make sure you get these windows. We'll need that bulletproof glass. So I'm going to get 20 computers, no power cells, no solar cells. We're going to go for 50 construction components, 50 small steel tubes. We'll go for no metal grids right now. We're going to go for 10 large steel tubes. We'll go for 30 motors, 10 displays, 50 interior plates. We'll just say 10 glass right now. We don't need that straight away, but we will need it later on. We'll leave the detector and the radio equipment for the moment, but they do take up a lot of space. And let's get 250 steel. Now, if you've got space available, you can always get more glass. They certainly wouldn't hurt. We need 30 glass to do at least the cockpit. And we'll get some more interior plate. There we go. So we've got 80 interior plates. So that should be enough for the moment. Now, if I come back to here real quick, you'll actually see that the mag lock's working as we talked about before. So I'm going to go to Control 2, G, clear these out. Just give me a second here. So in the search feature, when you hit G, type in what you want. You can also click here, cargo, but we're just going to type in medium, MED. Or you can type in CAR for cargo, and you can see here anything with MED, including medium cargo container, is in there. Then what we can do is we can go to the next one. This is why I like the search feature. We know that we are going to want a conveyor. Come on, there we go. And we want the small conveyor. Nope, we want the small conveyor tubes. We will want them later on. One thing I've noticed is look at the color differences. So the gray colors are actually small and these are larger ones. So we want a conveyor junction. So that's the next thing we want. And then what we also want is we want a cockpit. So we're just going through the things that we're going to need. We're also going to be needing a drill for later on. We've got the drill. So we want that drill there. There we go. What else are we going to need? We are going to need the uranium refinery, power blocks. If you get stuck, click on that and it's going to say battery. Nope, small reactor. We want a large reactor, and then we're also going to be looking for gyroscopes, because we need gyroscopes there. And what else are we going to need? We will need things like, let's have a look. We'll need thrusters, but we'll do them later. We're going to need ejector. There we go. And we're going to need sorters. So we'll go back, type in SORT, and a small conveyor sorter. That's what we want as well. So that's a good start. We're going to kick off with that. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go one, and we want to build up our, get it lined up as best you can. There. If you can get it lined up further to the front, that's good. And you can use your page up, page down, as you can see here, to rotate things around. And that's how we want it to look to start with. So we want it, the big entrance at the back and the small port on the left, right side. So we're going to click on that. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to build this up real quick, because once we've got this built up, we're going to use this to hold all the stuff we need, so we don't have to run back to the ship all the time. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to dump everything in here, and we go back to the ship real quick, and this is going to alleviate the process of running back to the ship unnecessarily. So we're going to get as many as we can, and just fill yourself up with everything that you need. Get the simple stuff first if you can. There we go. And we'll just run over here real quick. And this is going to make life so much easier when you're working through it. Just remember, you need to keep access to, here we go, to be able to access that medium cargo hold. So no matter what happens, you want to always be able to get access to those ports on a medium cargo hold. But the way that I've got this design set up, you will be able to do that. Okay, so this is a good start. There we go, almost there. Come on, there we go. Almost there. And so once we get this part done, it's going to make life so much easier. I think you're going to like what you see here. We'll take 200 engines or 300 engines for the moment. We'll take 31. That's fine. Excuse me. I'm actually just getting over a cold right now. Okay, so back to it. Let's focus on what we need to do. So the next part of of this is actually going to be, let's have a look. Okay, so we've got that, and what we're going to do right above it, and not above it, but I'm sorry, to the left and to the right, and we're actually going to do conveyor sorters, conveyor junction pots. So we hit 2. You can see we've got conveyor junction. If you rotate it around, see how those junctions has smaller ports on one side and bigger ones on the other, like that. What we want is we want the small ports to be on the top and bottom. So we want it to be like this. So when we rotate it around, we should do that. When you see it rotate around this way, we should be good. So we want to put, we need interior plate. Okay, so we need to get more resources from here. And we're going to get 20 glass. We'll get 200 steel plates, 200 interior plates. We'll get 50 engines. We'll get 10 large steel tubes and 50 small steel tubes. And that should be good. Okay, and now make sure it's lined up. We're going to put it there, and then hit your X if you need to for your jetpack. And here's the thing, here's the next thing about this one, is, let me make sure that one was lined up correctly, because I don't think it was lined up. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to make sure, okay, here we go, we need to make sure that the large at there, okay, so it's going to be like that. Nope, that's the wrong one. 2 with conveyor junction. There we go. Okay, so that's how we want it there. Remember the small on the top. And the next conveyor junction, we're actually going to have the large on the top and the small on the side. So if we go over here, we actually want to rotate it around, and we want it like that. So we want the large on each end and the tops, and the smalls on the side. There's a good reason for that, and the reason for that is these 3 on the side here, that's where our extractors are going to go. The last thing we can do again is we can literally do this, but we want the small, this is medium cargo being put here. Make sure it's lined up. See how it doesn't always line up, and make sure that it lines up. Come on, there we go. And you want the large connecting to the junction ports, and the top and the bottom should have the small ports. Okay, and the reason for that is because we're actually going to be putting the drills here. So if I hit 4 now and scroll, and I use my C, and when we rotate it around, see how the drill fits nice and neat there? And we're actually going to be putting the drill right there. And that's why we needed that space. And so what's going to happen is, as you can see how this is progressing, we are actually going to be utilizing some pretty neat stuff. But the way that it works is when you're flying, let me just do this real quick, instead of going into the ground to mine like this, you're actually going to be mining by holding the drill and then flying along it, and then it's actually going to be doing this. And see how it's drilling like that? There we go. So that gives you an idea of why we're doing that. It makes them much more stable for this type of ship. So let's just quickly put these together, and then we'll continue on with the rest of the build. And if you're missing some components for this part, don't stress over it. Just drill what you can, just build what you can, and we'll get back and we'll grab more stuff from here. And that's why we put him in here. We need more construction components, and that's not unusual. And we'll put the ice in there, just give yourself some more space. Construction components, we'll give myself some more steel plate too. There we go. So let's build this up real quick. Perfect. So what we've got, if you look back, we've got landing here, medium cargo. We don't want small, but we don't want big, because the big's much different in size, and that will mess up the dynamics of the vehicle. And so what we're looking at is we're going to have gear, cargo, conveyor, cargo, drill, and actually here we're going to put another 2 cargo as well. So this is actually going to help us a lot. So let's get some, where do we have, yeah, computers, good. Let's get some computers and finish this build real quick. We need display for that one. Okay, good. And so there's the first drill. Now I'm not going to do the other drill straight away. I just wanted to give you an idea what it looks like once you get that put in. Let's get my displays. Let's do that, and let's continue. So from this point onwards, what we're actually going to do is we're going to be doing our Okay, let's go to 5. And so now, if you have a look, we got the large conveyor sorter there with the large port. If we do this, so you can see here the large ones, so they connect up. And then what we're actually going to do is go Control 3, G, oxygen. Oops, there we go. And we're going to get the oxygen tank here, and we're going to put that directly behind the cockpit. So let's just build this cockpit up real quick because I want you to see something really important here. Now if we run out of computers, like looks like we have, that's okay because we can always run back to the machine over here and pick up more computers. If we run it out of computers completely, then what we can do is, now we've got 185 grid, you can always pull this apart and to get more resources. So the doors are always a really good source of computers too. So there we go. So there's your cockpit. Now the next step on the cockpit is, don't worry about the bulletproof glass, that's not critical, is you see how you got these small little ports here on each side. If we go Control 4, Control 3, 1, you can actually see when we put this here, this has the same port. So what we have to do is basically line up, and then we have the big port there if we were to connect to this one, but we don't. We want to line it up like this and push it there and then lock it in place and build. And so this is going to give us our oxygen. Most people don't realize that when you first start the game, the cockpits are actually, let's have a look here, what do I need? Let's try that. The cockpits are actually airtight. I need some more construction components. No, small steel tubes. Okay. And so because they're airtight, there's no air in them. Because there's no air in them, guess what? You can't breathe. And so if you don't have your helmet on, you suffocate. Let's take some of that, put that up there. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to have an oxygen tank behind it. Now the good thing is the world is full of air. As you know, right now we're not in space. But one of the things that you can do is you can hit G and you can type in vent, and you can get an oxygen vent, and you can actually reverse the oxygen vents to what they should be doing, which is venting the air. And so what we'll do is we're going to put the oxygen vent here and build that up, and then when we're ready we'll tell it to go in reverse, and that's going to take the oxygen out of the planet, which is a lot more in the planet than there is the capacity of that tank here. But we're going to tell it to reverse the oxygen flow, so it's going to suck it in, store it in the tank, and then it'll also fill up this cockpit here. So we're always going to have oxygen. Even if we go high into the stratosphere, we'll always have oxygen. The next thing we're going to do is medium cargo. That's good. Make sure they line up with the ports like that. Bear with me for 1 second. Let me just check my notes here. Okay, and then on these ports we want the side panels to be where you see the small, like that. Okay, and then one on that side and one on this side. Here we go, and build them up. Now if you won't have enough resources to build them up, don't stress, it's okay, we will get there eventually. Great. Now as you can see, I'm actually flying for a fair bit, so I'm going to go back in here, hit X. I'm going to go back to my cargo container. Look, this bottle's down to 23%, he's at 100, so we can just go down to oxygen generator, drag the bottle across, he's full, bring it back, we're good to go. And while we're here, we're actually going to get more glass. We don't have enough glass, so we're going to go and grab some. If we come up to here, and let's just go to here and grab this bulletproof glass here. Okay. Oh, what was that? That's not good. Alright, so let's go and claim those real quick. Oh, that looks like inventory's full. Huh, so I just destroyed some components, but that's okay. At least you know not to do that. Okay, so looks like we got some steel plate here. You gotta be quick because it's getting ready to disappear. No, that's more glass. Okay. You can now see what it's like to mismanage your resources here. Okay. See if we can still got. You gotta get quick because they do disappear sometimes on you. Okay. And we'll grab that steel plate. Okay, good. Also, at least scrap. Focus back on here. Put that scrap in there. We've got 140 glass. That's good. Okay, let's go back here and let's finish off this job. Okay, so now that's complete. This is complete. This is complete. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to be going to here we're going to be putting more drills, and we're going to line them up with this one. Nope, come on. And it can be a bit tricky sometimes. And you see how it does that a lot? It's really annoying. There we go. It's new beta. They have adjusted it so it doesn't always match up the way you want it to. That's really frustrating. You can see it's very, very frustrating to get it lined up correctly. Oh, there we go. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to have 5 drills like this. Okay, so there's 3 to give you an idea. That is going to be the first part of the drills, and then the next set of drills will actually line up above them in front of those. But for the moment, that's good. We can drill those real quick. This at least gives you an idea what to be expecting. You can see we're running out of construction components, so we're going to go back here and go F, get more construction components. There we go. We need steel tubes and motors, that's fine. So we'll go here, steel tubes and motors. Okay, good. Okay, gas has been refueled. So you get the idea how that's looking there. Okay, great. So the next thing we're going to do, and I am kind of really flying through this right now, but you're getting the idea. I'm sure you're getting the idea. Is we're actually going to go Control 3, yes, and G, and we're going to say ejector, and we're going to say sorter. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in some conveyor sorters and stuff like that. So this is the ejector. We don't want that. We want the conveyor sorter. And that's the conveyor sorter. And if you have a look on the conveyor sorter, you're going to see it has arrows on it. So see how that faint arrow is pointing forwards and now it's pointing backwards? That is the direction it will allow it to flow. And so it will only allow it to flow in one direction. We need more interior plate. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that's flowing in the correct direction and put down these conveyor sorters. Excuse me. And more steel tubes. We don't have any. Let's scoot over here real quick. I was trying to avoid some of this, but unfortunately it's not working the way I was hoping, but that's okay. And you can also see why we built the platform the way we did. Okay, so there's your sorter there. And the other thing we're going to do is go Control 4, 3, okay, and then go 3, put the ejector in place. By putting the ejector right there, we build that up. What we're going to do, once we've completed all that, we're going to go F, and we're going to Control Panel, and we're going to Ejectors, and we're going to say to the ejector, you will throw out everything, and you will collect everything. Now right now it won't, because although there's stuff in there, there's no power. What we will also do is, you will have multiple conveyor sorters, which are down here. You can actually hold down your Shift key, and select them all at once, and you can say Drain Ore is on, and then you go to each individual one, and you scroll to the bottom, and what you actually say is you want to change blacklist, which means only anything in this list here of active filters is not permitted. We're going to change it to whitelist, saying only what's in this is permitted. And then what we do is we double click on stone. So you come down to here, which is the list of all your different filters, and everything in Space Engineers is in this list. And we want to add stone. So click on stone and then click add. And you need to do that for each and every one of those conveyor sorters. We will have 9 conveyor sorters when we're finished. So we click on whitelist, click on stone, and go add. Next one, whitelist, click on stone, click on add. Really, really important, because if we miss this step, what will happen is it will pick up absolutely everything and throw it out, and then you're losing valuable resources. what this will do once it's set correctly like it is now is it's pretty ingenious in one sense, and what it's going to do is as we're mining and picking up stone, it's going to be kicking all the stone out, and we don't have to worry about it because we don't want the excess weight, we don't want the excess stone, and it will actually remove that for us, and so that's pretty neat. So I'm just going to do these two real quick, and now I'm going to go through, let me adjust this one here real quick so you can see this small component here. Come on, buddy. Now remember, I am actually doing this at an elevated rate of speed just to keep it a timely fashion. Okay, great. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do thrusters. And so we're going to do thrusters. Oh, I got a new phone and it's turning me around. Okay, there we go. And also we're going to be doing gyroscopes. So if we have a look here, if we click 7, that should give us a gyroscope. And we're actually just going to put down the gyroscope there. Let's have a look. No, we want to put it here. It doesn't matter if it's pointing down or up, as long as there's a gyroscope, and so you want to put a gyroscope here as well. And so we just build the gyroscope up. And what the gyroscope will do, it does add a fair bit of weight, but it allows us to control the vehicle much more effectively. So it's really, really important to have. You cannot skip the gyroscope. You must have the gyroscope. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to click on 4, and we are actually going to be building our start of the panel here for our engines. And so the panels, with me for a second, check my notes here. There we go. Okay, so the panels are going to be here. So we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go in Control 3 and go G, and we're going to type in thrusters. No, so if I can spell, there we go, and we want atmospheric thrusters with that little plus sign. That means all these thrusters are available by that one there. So we're going to scroll down until we find large thrusters, and we're going to set it so when we adjust it, if you look down, see how it's got these little vents pointing upwards? That is the direction of thrust. What we want to see is the fan blades like that. So we're going to put 3 and then a thruster like that. Does that make sense? And so then what we do at the other end is basically the same thing further down. So I'm just going to go Control 1, 4. I'm going to do this on the other side. There, 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, we just want 3. So go in and select that. There we go. And then we're going to go Control 3, 5. We want to set the thrusters to be up like that. Boom. And then we're actually going to be building 2 more thrusters in just a moment, but that gives you the idea of what we're trying to achieve. So we're going to have 4 thrusters here, and you'll see pretty quickly how this is going to work. Let's just build these. Now if you're wondering, okay, so that's our thrusters to go up. What do we do about forwards or backwards or left or right? Well, we're going to do this at the back when we get close to the point. The other thing we're going to do real quick is if I go back to 3 and go 5, we're going to choose small thrusters here, and see how we've got space for 3 small thrusters. We're going to choose 3 small thrusters this way, 3 small thrusters. Now look how it's modified that angle. There we go. In the previous version it didn't do that, but with the beta for some reason it is. So we got 6 small thrusters pushing us backwards when that initiates. So what we'll do is we'll do the same thing with the sides here and the front. Okay, my phone has had an update and it's causing me problems. Alright, there it is. So now I can see what I'm doing again. Excuse me. So the next step we're going to do is we have to go in and go G, and we want to put in our connector, because we need a way of transferring all this awesome stuff we're going to get into the ship to our main ship. So we're going to make a connector here, and then once we've done the connector, we'll build that up best we can for the moment. It's good enough. We're actually going to go 4, and we will build 1, 2, 3. This looks familiar. And then we're going to go 3 and 5. And the large thruster, make sure the thruster is pointing down. Here we go, come on. There we go. And the same with the other side. And we're pretty close to being done. Now this doesn't look very pretty, I have to admit that. But as you'll see in just a moment, it may not look pretty, but it's going to be very effective. So then what we'll do is I like to keep things as simple as possible and consistent. So come on, there we go. And one more. Okay, so that's actually connected to that, so that's good. And so what we're going to do now is fill these up. And now what we're going to do is go 3, 5, and so you get the idea. We're actually going to do the small thrusters, and we're going to do the thrust, not quite like that. It's out of alignment, but that's good enough. Thrust like that, and then the same here. We're going to come up to here, put in, adjust our thrusters, 1, 2, no, there, okay. Control 1, 2. So you get the idea. So basically that's gonna be how your forward and back thrust. Now the question you're probably wondering is, hey, that's all very well and good, but there's two things missing. First of all, what's missing is how do we apply, if we've got upwards thrust, downwards thrust. So the thrusters for down are going to be pretty simple. They will actually go at this center point here. So it's going to give us some, come on, there we go. And so these thrusters will go right in here, like so. And then the last thing we are missing is power. So if we hit 5, if you have a look at this, you'll see the small connector block near my center crosshair. We actually want to rotate this around so that way it's pointing up and down. And then we want to build that up. So once we build that up, the one thing that we won't have right now that we need is the reactor components of 95. So we're going to go back into our main ship here. And this point is really, really, really important, so don't miss it, okay? First thing you've got to do is go into F into the nuclear reactor here, and you need to extract all the uranium ingots before you do anything else. And then hit your X to get up the right elevation, and then start getting the nuclear reactor until you've got all the reactor components. Don't worry about the rest of it. Then come back to the main ship and basically go 1, build this up. We need more metal grids, of course. That's one thing we didn't get because I said we didn't need it, which at the time was true. So go over here, grab 20 metal, oh, we got 102, that'll do it. Grab some metal grids. There we go. Okay, so now we've got the reactor on board. We're going to say F on here, and we're going to put our 36 uranium ingots into the reactor, and now that is good to go. The one thing we need to do we haven't done yet is if we go to this little port here, hit F, and then go into control panel, go to our air vent. It says it's incomplete, but what we're going to do is actually say to depressurize on. And then we're going to go and we're going to finish building our air vent. The reason why we're doing that is it's going to feel like we talked about before. You're going to see it just a second. You see that air movement? Like, there we go. You can kind of see that air disturbance there. That is now filling up our tank. And so our air tank here, oxygen tank right there, if we go back into here, we'll actually be going to go control panel, go into oxygen tank near the bottom. There it is, and you watch, it's starting to fill up. Look how quickly that's filling up. This is free oxygen right here, my friends. So that is essentially the mining ship. I mean, yes, it's kind of half finished, but you get the idea. You guys know what you're doing in that sense. Let me finish this off. I'll cut away real quick. I'll finish this off, and then what we'll do is we'll do a quick little expo of how to actually fly it and how to use it to mine. So thank you for your time. I really hope you're going to get something useful out of this. You don't need to follow this exactly how I've done it, but clearly if you if you do, it's going to work for you, but you may decide to, hey, I can do this, but I can make it prettier and this and that. Right now it's not pretty, but it works and it's super, super stable. And you've got 4 good medium cargo holes to fill, which is usually more than enough for what you need. So I will be back, and I will be with you shortly.